but this is what it's all about. 191. I think I've made a decision. I'm going to try to go to the Mexican border on 191. I won't be entering Mexico, but I'm going to go to the border. Welcome to MotoPat, Episode 6. Day 2 is Moab, Utah to Chambers, Arizona. Not that far, but beautiful. I woke up in Moab and decided to get back out there in 191 South. But I'd been hauling around a back tire for a long time, ever since I left Knoxville, the dang thing, back in August. I'd been calling ahead each afternoon trying to find a place where I was headed to get it changed, as my rear was looking sketchy. But every place I tried, I was told they were a couple weeks out. So I was shocked as I was finishing at the Cheapskate Buffet in my hotel that the first place I called answered the phone at 8 o'clock in the morning and said, "Yeah, bring it over." They really got me excited when I told them that the Super Tenere had a center stand. So it turned out that shop, called Mad Bro Power Sports, was literally walking distance from where I'd stayed the night. I rode over there and they took it right into the back and started working on it. This place is like Dirt Bike Central, filled with one of two types of people. Normal type tourists and ranchers with side-by-side issues, and the other folks with those crazy people that like to jump things for no good reason. All the mechanics were serious single-track riders and motocross racers that had that look about them that makes you want to trust them with your bike, but keep any spare food you might have close. I asked them if I could shoot them changing my tire out, but they cited insurance regs and said I couldn't be in the shop. Then I asked about flying my drone around inside the shop, and they thought that was gnarly, sweet, and I think they said fab. So another great shoot with my new drone that ended up at the bottom of a very steep mountain in Arizona. Anyways, if you're ever within a couple hundred miles of Moab and need a tire, Mad Bros was great to deal with. They also had a huge stock selection of tires in the back, including the one I dragged across country. There it was, 3 of them. Back to the ride. Once I got that new shoe in the back, it was time to break it in. Heading south out of Moab is really, really pretty. All those red rocks getting hit by the rising sun. Everywhere you look, it's beautiful. There are long, straight sections broken up by twisty, curvy ones that dive and down and up in elevation so that your ears pop sometimes. When you live where I do in the south, everywhere you look seems like a postcard view, and as you ride after hour, you start to feel like you're in a motorcycle commercial, until you get behind a semi or what Jeremy James and Richard called a caravan. You get the picture. I first rode on a short bit of US191 in Arizona in 2021. I had trailered my Beamer out there to visit my in-laws who had been cooped up in a northern Arizona cabin with few visitors. She is blind and he'll be 98 this January. I had a good visit with them, took them out to eat. We went to the big Walmart about 40 miles away, and then I took part of the last day I was with them and rode east on the 260 until I hit the 191 and headed south towards Alpine, Arizona. I was completely hooked. 191 was like the dragon back home, but with spectacular views, and it just kept going and going, winding through endless pine forests with long sweepers and switchbacks. The problem was, time was short and the sun was going down and it was getting cold. There was snow in the northern portions of the mountains and I didn't have the gear to keep going, and I didn't want to risk hitting a big animal after dark. In East Tennessee where I live, deer are like skinny dogs with long legs. Out west, the animals are substantially larger, and they can easily kill you or total your bike if you ride through fur. So I had to turn back and head back to the car and trailer, and then drove back to Tennessee. But 191 had made its impression on me. I swore I'd return. The reason and purpose for this ride was to ride as much of 191 as I could manage in the time I had in Utah and Arizona. My intention was to get all the way to the end of 191 where it stops, literally at the Mexican border wall, but I didn't make it that far. U.S. Route 191 is a spur of the U.S. Route 91 that has 2 branches. The southern branch runs for 1,465 miles from Douglas, Arizona, on the Mexican border, to the southern part of Yellowstone National Park. The northern branch runs for 440 miles from the northern part of Yellowstone to Loring, Montana, at the U.S.-Canada border. Unnumbered roads within Yellowstone National Park connect the 2 branches, so it's a little confusing, which is why I use paper maps in addition to my GPS and phone on these jaunts. 191 passes through the states of Arizona, Utah, Wyoming, and Montana. Like US 50, US 191 was designated in 1926, and its routing has changed drastically through the years. The modern 191 bears almost no resemblance to the original route, which was primarily in the state of Idaho. Most of the current route of US 191 was formed in 1981. Since the extensions in the 80s and the 90s, US Route 191 is much longer than its parent route, to which it no longer connects, and it's one of the longest three-digit routes in the U.S. The parts of 191 you are seeing now are mostly desolate areas of eastern Utah. Several portions are national or Utah scenic byways. It passes through Bluff, Blanding, Monticello, and Moab, where I got my tire changed, in addition to linking many rural towns in Utah to I-70 and US 40. The highway serves as an interconnect between several national and state parks for tourism, namely Canyonlands National Park, Arches, Bears Ears National Monument, and Dead Horse Point State Park. The highway exits Utah just after crossing the Flaming Gorge Reservoir. Put simply, it's all gorgeous and well worth your time of getting off the super slab to see this part of America that's all but ignored. I pulled into Chambers, Arizona to stay the night, really tired. I stopped a lot that day, and though I didn't log many miles, I sure enjoyed everything I saw and did. There's a funny Days Inn right on I-40 at Chambers that I stayed in, and it was a good fit for me. They have an indoor pool and hot tub, but most importantly, they have an old-school attached restaurant, just like in the 1960s, and I found it excellent. The room price was only $50, and it included a real breakfast at the hotel. I had 2 meals there, dinner and breakfast the next day, A+ to both cooks there. As you push down the 191 in Arizona from I-40, things are a little on the boring side for about 90 miles, and then they really get interesting. But that is the story for day 3 of my ride down 191. We'll talk again tomorrow once I edit that video. Thanks for hanging out with me if you're still there. Peace be with you.